You said at the beginning of the season you really liked how the non-conference began because it was going to prepare your guys, to be ready for conference and more adversity later in the season. 8 games in, what do you like that you've seen now headed into CCHA play, and what do you guys still need to improve on?
Yeah, we're battle tested for sure. Those were some really good teams, some of the best teams in the country. So, we went through some growing pains. We discussed that as a team. It did make us better for sure. Some of our growing pains were shown in that course of 8 games, but there's a lot of positives. A lot of positives. I thought we took growth in every single weekend, and I thought when you put it all together, our first period on Friday night was the best we've played against the best team in the country at this point for long segments of the first period, probably 16 minutes, and then they got too late on us. So if we're to kind of blueprint a game plan for how we have to play and what our identity is, that would be it. And then what we need to improve on, again, everybody needs to improve on things this time of the year. You don't want to give up the easy goals. Saturday night, to look back, we weren't very good in the first, but we crawled back into the game. We challenged the guys and we made it 2-2. And I think we had 2 power plays after that. And you have to find a way to extend the lead. So they're playing catch up. And we were unable to do that. Then they get a power play. And we actually did a pretty good job, but we missed 2 clears. And when you miss 2 clears, good teams like that are going to capitalize. So, everybody wants consistency. We're still up and down, but I like some of the positives were, you got to have both your special teams clicking at the right time together, and then you have to have your goaltender playing well. And I think our first night I thought Ollie played pretty good, and then our penalty kill was good. Power play was just okay. Power play had 6 or 7 opportunities. We got one, and I think penalty killing let one in on Saturday. So that is always a key part of having success is your special teams have to be good. And again, we work on it every single week. So it's fine tuning it and getting some consistency.
You had a lot of chances with that, excuse me, with that man advantage over the weekend. What did you like to see, or what did you like on that power play? What were some of the things that you thought could be?
Yeah, again, we've talked about it, and you can't play for the guys. You give them structure, and the guys play within the structure. But we've got to put more pucks on net for sure. That creates energy, forces them to defend. You can't be too predictable. You give them structure. So I think that's that component. And then we had to start with the puck more often. When you're losing faceoffs on the power play, you're going up and down, and they clear. And that creates fatigue. So we've addressed some of those issues, and we're working on this week, and we got to be able to execute it against a very good Augustana team.
Headed to not your barn. What do you know about Augustana? What are you expecting over the course of the weekend?
I think they're one of the best teams in the CCHA in our league. It's every game's hard for us, and we have to be at our best to give us a chance to win. And it's kind of the mindset as well, because Augustana, they just got swept. Now they're coming back home. So we're walking into a hornet's nest there, and we better be on top of our game right off the hop. And our mindset right now has to be focused on Friday night, not what we've done in the past, build on some of the positives to prepare us to get better, like we talked about, playing all those tough opponents. Now we get into league play against another very good opponent. It's not going to be easier. In fact, it'll be harder, and we just have to prepare ourselves accordingly, more mentally than physically, in my opinion, and get on the road and play our best game on Friday.
Is getting shots off a product of unselfishness? I feel like sometimes watching everybody, they're working together, but you want them to shoot. Is that the conversation you have with some of those guys? That, hey, when you're open, shoot it, and then the next guy will.
Every single day, yeah, we want every single day. So, and they, you preach it. You got to let them play, but they know we want to be shoot first mentality, and it's not always the case. And some guys like to make the extra pass, but in order for us to create a little bit more offense, we got to get more pucks and bodies to the net. So, again, it's been emphasized, it's been repped out in practice, it's been shown on video, and now we just have to apply it a little bit more often.
Sometimes coaches like going on the road, team bonding,
Yeah.
getting together. What do you like going into this road trip, being on the road this time of year against Augustana?
Yeah, we've been at home for 2 weekends now.
It's getting old.
I wouldn't say it's getting old, but it's just part of the schedule. And if August 10 is one of it's like an 11 or 12 hour bus ride, whatever it is, and we'll try to cut it in half on our way there tomorrow, and get a skate in the rink on Thursday, then play Friday, Saturday, and it's a weekend where it's a start of our league play, and that is our main focus. Whether it's on the road or at home, does it make a difference? I think the only difference is the guys are in the bus for a longer period of time, playing games, like you said, bonding, and maybe reflecting a little bit and being excited about, okay, now we're in league play, guys. It's a fresh start. Let's learn from all those tough games that we played, put that in the rearview mirror, and just get focused on Friday night. Be excited about playing a league opponent.
Okay, let's talk about Michigan Tech from this past weekend. I know there's some things you'd like to clean up in what you saw on film. I know we talked about in the postgame show. One of them was disciplinary and staying true to yourself and not having the false starts. I had not seen more than one, maybe two false starts the whole season from your team, and you had 5 in one drive.
Yeah.
I guess take us through that particular series, and touchdown came off the board of that one as well as a forward lateral from what the officials said.
Yeah.
Can't confirm that, but I guess take us through that series, because obviously that was a turning point in the game.
For sure. Yeah, there was 4 in that drive. Actually went back and counted, but it's uncharacteristic, right? And it's all about, comes back to our discipline and just our focus on, not listening to whatever, defensive signals that they're barking out or whatever their movements are. And we got to just stay in tune to what we're supposed to be doing. And, just had really 2 guys that had 2 apiece, and it was a little bit, kind of coming from that right side. And, we just have to be better in that situation. So very disappointing that, we put ourselves in bad field position there as a result of those.
Talk about how the game swung a little bit. And
Yeah.
we're not going to talk about, we will, but special teams. Freshman kicker, young kicker, never kicked field goals before in that game. It was 1 of 3. How does that game change when it's, 7-3, it could have been like 14-6 or 21-9 kind of. How
for sure.
does that change when it comes to math and position of the field?
It really does. Had we been able to capitalize on punching the ball in the end zone, right, I think it could have been a whole different story with momentum. And, that first touchdown that we missed down on the opposite end, we missed in the end zone. And, I really firmly believe, like, if we get a touchdown there, it could be positioning us in a different, feel of the whole game and just what's going on there. So, if you're holding a team to field goals on defense, you feel like you're winning, you're doing a good job. Well, when the team doesn't make field goals, you're even winning more, right? So we were on the end of not being able to even capitalize on the field goals. So we got to be better to be able to offensively get ourselves in a position to score touchdowns. And then if we're going to kick field goals, at least we need to put the field goal points up on the board.
How close was Batley to catching that ball that you talked about, dropping it in the end zone? I said couldn't complete the process because he had it like 98%, and then it came up.
Yeah, well, it comes down to more of a technique concept, and you got to go up and get the ball, right? You can't just let it come to you, and it's just one of those growing pains. He's a freshman, and you got to continue to move through it and coach him better in terms of what he needs to do next time that he gets in that situation.
Coach, is it frustrating on those red zone trips when you're moving the ball on the ground, you completing passes, and then you get to the end and it kind of stalls, get there? What becomes the message to the team there?
Right.
Finishing the drives. What do you work on in practice?
Yeah. The whole weekend was frustrating, Keegan, right? I mean, that was a frustrating game. And, the offense knows it, right? I mean, we have leaders on offense that are completely dialed into that and want to score and know that we need to be able to punch it in that way. And so a lot of it, I don't have to lead that message. Like we have guys that are completely invested and completely in tune to that. And so it's a matter of us being able to go out there and actually execute it. We know it, we got to do it, and we got to continue to practice and, be able to go through it to, just know how to do it better next time.
You move ahead now. Ferris State, You're
Yep.
headed into a hostile environment.
Yeah.
One of the best teams, if not the best team in the country.
For sure.
What do you expect from them, and what do you guys have to do?
Yeah.
You talked about concentrating on yourselves and
Yeah.
who you're playing.
Well, I mean, let's go back. I mean, and it's hard because coming out of Saturday, there were a lot of questions like, what just happened, right? And give Michigan Tech credit. I mean, they whooped us. Like they really came in here ready, and for whatever reason, our guys did not translate what we did all week, coming off the win at Roosevelt, being able to have a great week of practice, and then being able to go out there and really play the way we did and didn't do, the things that we really wanted to do. Very disappointing for all of us. And so, we've got to be able to look at that in the big picture and say, well, it was a one-off, like that's not who we've been this season. I mean, we've been extremely competitive. We've been climbing and growing and doing great things. And, I've talked to the team about that. And I don't think that we should dismiss that, right? Now, you got to address what took place on Saturday to make sure it doesn't happen again, and you got to be able to grow through it and be able to move past it and, learn from it. So we've got to do a great job to now, move past the Michigan Tech disappointment, move forward into, obviously the Ferris State opportunity. And to me, it's just how can we get back to some of the things that we hold close to the program, how we've really invested in our process, and get back to being true to ourselves in terms of Wildcat football of what we're trying to establish. And so if we can go down to Big Rapids and make sure that we're being competitive and we're taking some pride and we're understanding that we need to be extremely consistent in just what we're supposed to execute, like I want to see a better product on the field this Saturday than what I saw last Saturday. And as long as our program can keep growing and learning and showing that we're going to be competitive, that's what my expectations are, for sure.
Well, let's start there. Tuesday night action. Playing on a Tuesday. Is that weird when it's such a short week? You kind of have one day and then it's game day, where typically you're later on in the weekend.
Yeah, from our standpoint, it's not too strange as like a coach, because I've done this for many years, right? The midweek match. I think for the athletes, it's a little bit taxing, right? 2 huge matches last weekend. Both went 5, so you play 10 sets. You get 2 days kind of off. We still practiced yesterday, but light, and then you got to play your rival here. The nice thing is that we're not traveling, so they're coming to us, which is really helpful. But yeah, so it's going to be, I think the athletes, they're doing a good job staying focused, but it's tough. And then we got to, after tonight, we have 1 day of practice somewhere on the road heading down to Roosevelt. So no excuse. Tech's got to do the same thing. They got to come to us. So they have just the same challenges we do. So we just got to be ready to go.
I want to jump back to last week in 10 sets. I mean, that's got to take a toll on the athletes, toll on the coaching staff. I mean, 10 sets, but you guys go out and battle with Grand Valley. You come out on top. What did you like from that one versus, the Wayne State where it goes 5 and they end up getting that?
I mean, the crazy thing is Friday we win 15-12 in the 5th. Saturday we lose 17-15 in the 5th. We had two match points on Saturday. If the ball is like an inch the one way or the other and we win that 5th set, we're sitting here going, this is the greatest thing ever. We play 10 sets. We get 2 wins against 2 really quality opponents. And you split the weekend. It's not that I'm upset. I went into the weekend kind of thinking it might be a split. They're 2 really, really good programs. Of course, what I've said a lot is you go into the weekend wanting 1-1 until you're 1-0. And then you went 2-0. But our team played phenomenally. I think, we spread the love, on Friday with our offense. Our defense got 92 digs. We had 15 blocks, which is the most we've had in a really long time. And, really good execution of the scouting report. Saturday, Wayne State's very similar to Grand Valley. So we knew going into it was going to be, a similar test. And it kind of played out the same way. They have their middle, Kayla Giroux, is just an absolute stud. And she proved it. And then their right side, who we knew was good, we didn't realize how good of a match she was at. She kind of lit us up. And so I thought we played really hard, and it's really taxing. But as I would hope anyone that was there as a fan, they feel like they got their money's worth, because we played really well. We played really hard, we played really well. And to go 1-1 against those 2 opponents, I'm happy.
How does it really set the tone for your team coming in tonight? Like you said, Two really hard-fought battles, but you know you can get it done against a really good team in Grand Valley. We're almost able to get it done against Wayne State, and this is a team that is coming in here tonight that you could definitely go 5 sets with, like you did earlier in the year.
Yeah, that's tough. It's even mentally exhausting just thinking about it. The nice thing is for scouting purposes, they're kind of the same team. At least they were this weekend. That they were when we played them earlier. So we don't have to really think about it too much. We just have to execute the game plan. But Tech's good, and you do kind of throw the records out the door for rivalry matches, but at the same time, they're not a bad team. They're playing well, so don't even consider the record. They're pretty good. We just got to be ready to go. They'd kind of been moving some pieces around over the last couple weeks between when we played them and now, but they seem to have settled back into where they were, with one difference being their setter being different, but they're still running the same type of offense. Their players in those positions are pretty much the same. And so what we're going to kind of expect from them, a pretty good blocking team. They keep the ball off the floor. Number 18, they're outside. We're expecting to get a heavy dose. She had 18 kills against us when we played them last time. And then their right side, Torla, also had 18 kills against us last time we played them. So we expect them to look at their box score from when they played us last time and say, where were we successful? Okay, let's, go for those areas. And so we're expecting those things, but they're good out of the middle. They're a solid team. And so we're just kind of expecting a battle. I put kind of a call to action to our other athletic teams to come and support tonight, because when we played there, their band was loud, obnoxious, all those things. And so we want to kind of create that same home court advantage tonight. But who knows? Who knows what happens? But the way we're playing right now, if we play the way we played this weekend tonight, I feel really good. I feel really confident. Whatever happens, happens. But if we can continue to play this way, we're a very good team. And if like I said, that last point falls the other way against Wayne State, we're number 2 in the conference and separating ourselves from other teams. Now, we didn't come up with the win, and so we're kind of in that muck between 3 and 6, and so we got to find a way to separate ourselves, and tonight's a really good way to do that.
With the way the weekend kind of went, what was the feeling amongst your team, knowing that they almost had it at the goal line there on Saturday night, but they were able to get it done against GV? Was there kind of maybe a bit mixed emotions with the way it went, but or is it overall positive feeling?
You're never satisfied with losing, right? I think that's the important thing. And so us as the leaders, the coaches, we just had to go in and deliver a message. And I said it in our film session last night, is like, if you remove all emotion, you remove the outcome, and you're just an observer of the volleyball, it was just really good volleyball. And in those situations when two really good teams are going at it, it's one bounce one way or the other way, anything can happen. And so it was a very emotionally intense match. My assistant played at Wayne State. I coached at Wayne State for 3 years for the guy who was the coach. He was talking a little bit during the match, and I didn't appreciate it. And so when the match ended and we lost, I was still a little worked up. And so I took a second and went in there, and my messaging was exactly what I said, that I think we played really hard. I'm really proud of them. But we can't just be like, hey, okay, on to the next. Like, we have to accept we lost that match. And anytime you lose, you have to learn in that moment. So we had to go back, watch the film, find those areas where when we're in the GLIAC semifinals or the finals or the NCAA tournament, right, those inches matter. So we got to find those inches in our favor. And so that's what we did in film, and then got into practice yesterday, and hoping to apply little things this weekend to help us continue our kind of trajectory upwards.
When you have a midweek match like this, is it more of a comfortable feeling to be at home rather than have to have a midweek match and go on the road, and whether the trip would, say, be up to Tech or somewhere farther?
Yeah, I think, it's definitely in our favor. And I think as the coaches, it's less of a burden because we don't have the stressors of class and things like that. And these guys sleeping in their own bed last night, not having to get up and worry about getting on the bus and traveling. So, our athletes are in class right now. We're Michigan Tech. I think they're probably loading up the bus right now to get over here. I think that's a huge advantage for us. Now, the thing that's really important is once we get into walkthrough and pregame meal and stuff like that, is like honing our focus in. The one advantage you have when you're on the road is you don't have outside noise. You're just on the bus with your team. You have a singular focus. Where with us, we have to you go to class until you absolutely have to be in the building. And then once you get in the building, you have to really narrow your focus. But I think the biggest thing that's going to separate us tonight is going to be the crowd. I hope.
Well, let's start with Sunday. You go down by a goal at half, really late goal by Ferris, but then you're able to push back and not able to finish, but you get the tie. What were you able to kind of take away from that performance on Sunday?
Yeah, I think anytime you can get points on the road in this conference is a positive thing, especially against a good side in Ferris. And it was a good battle. It was a good game. Truthfully, it probably could have ended like 4-4. I thought a tie was probably a fair result. But in the last 10, 15 minutes of the game, we had a couple opportunities to go on and win it. And so I think for us, it's that we have a lot of fight in our team, and our girls don't quit. And I think we showed a lot of quality in that last 15, 20 minutes, to the point where we're going, where was that for the first 70 minutes? So that's the thing with our team. We see these moments where we can be so good and where things are clicking and we're playing well, and we just don't see that enough. We need to extend those periods within the game. And so I think for us, again, we found a way to get a point on the road. I'm really happy with that. And it's good to walk into this upcoming, weekend, our last weekend at home, a lot going on, with a little bit of positive outcome from our final game this past weekend on the road.
3 left in the regular season, 2 at home, 1 on
Yeah.
the road. Points are a premium now, and
Yeah.
you're trying to move up in the conference. You guys still have the opportunity with 3 games left to move up in the conference.
Mhm.
How important is it to get results here this weekend now?
Yeah, it's critical. We're in a really critical phase of our season where, and again, we're not looking at it as 3 games. We're looking at it as Friday first. Friday is certainly a gettable one. And that's the thing we say about all these games. They're all going to be tough against any conference opponent. But if we do what we need to do and we should do, outcomes will be there for us. And so 3 games left. We're sitting in a fine spot. We want to win all 3 games. We want to try and get 9 points. But that starts with Friday. If that doesn't happen on Friday, 9 points isn't achievable. And so for us, it's can we get 1 at a time? And Roosevelt's coming off of a big win against Purdue Northwest this past weekend. And so we know they're in the same position. They're trying to get into conference tournament contention, and they're going to be hungry. And so we've got to be ready for that. We played them our first game of the conference, so a lot's transpired between then and now. So we've got to be ready, and I have full faith that our team will be prepared to go out and battle and perform well in that contest.
I know you said you were looking to Friday, but I'd be remiss if we had talked about Sunday, being able to send your seniors off the right way. Just kind of talk about what that feeling, I guess, has kind of been like, knowing you're going into this weekend, and excuse me, it's going to be your last weekend at home in the regular season.
Yeah.
With that group of seniors.
Yeah, I think celebrating Senior Day is always massive. It's always an exciting time, not just for our seniors, but for everyone to celebrate them. And there are 5 seniors that are absolutely worth celebrating. They've done a lot for this program, and they're leaving a legacy that's going to last a long time. And being able to send them out in style is what we're hoping for. We want to give them a great send off, and we want to pay tribute to all the blood, sweat, and tears they put into this program. And so looks like it's going to be a nice Sunday for a game. We're going to get a competitive conference opponent in Parkside. And I think there's going to be a lot of energy in that game. And so, again, we know what we have to do. If we can send out the seniors and play really well and find a way to have a great weekend, I think that'll be a memorable one forever for them. But our seniors have been great. They've obviously made a huge impact on this program, and we want to do right by them this weekend.
And how much of a boost does that give to the rest of the team, knowing they want to play well
Sure.
For those 5?
Yeah, I think there's always an intensity about our team to want to go out and perform well. Senior Day added on top of that. Can't wait to see what that looks like. I think, like I said, there'll be a lot of energy. It'll be electric. And I know our seniors are excited for their one last potential last forever contest on our home field. And that's what this last weekend could be at home is their final time at home. And so I expect there to be a lot of urgency and a lot of intentionality about how we approach those games and how we play. And I'm excited for them. I mean, this is something I'm sure they've looked forward to for a long time, and they've seen classes come and go before them, and now it's their turn, and rightly so. So we are really excited to honor them this weekend and hopefully give them a really cool send-off.
Because there's been such a gap between the first time you played Roosevelt and now, like your team has changed, their team has changed.
Yeah.
What do you know about them kind of over the course of the season, and what do you expect that they'll come in and approach the game against you differently?
Yeah, I think Roosevelt's results have been a little bit misleading. They're a scrappy bunch. And I think for us, they have that belief. They're not dead in the water. They can still get into the conference tournament, and we have to understand that that's what they're going to be fighting for. And so I think that they're a team that they've scored a lot of goals this season. Even before they played us the first time, they had scored goals, and since then they've put a lot more in the back of the net. So we know that there's a threat from them from the attacking sense. But they've also conceded some goals. I think they've returned their senior goalkeeper, so we might see a different goalkeeper than we did the first time round. But again, I think Roosevelt's going to come and they're going to bring their best and they're going to try and get 3 points just like we are. And we have to make sure we show up and bring our A game. And if we do that, we'll be fine.
Coming off a 3-0 win,
Yep.
it's got to feel good. We say, every weekend is important, but this one,
Right.
does have, postseason implications on where you guys end in seeding and
For sure.
the conference. What do you guys have to do this week to be successful?
This weekend. Yeah, I'm glad you just went right into next weekend because I think that's great. We just want to move on as fast as possible and focus on continuing to get better and focus on our next opportunity. However, last week was sort of an inflection point for us. So rather than get ready for any specific opponent anymore, really we're fighting ourselves. Like our opposition is ourselves. We're our own worst enemy. We feel like we can play with anybody. So the only team that's going to beat us is going to be ourselves, and that's what we've been kind of living by. So whether it's making sure we're focused on set pieces or making sure we're not feeling sorry for ourselves when the calls don't go our way, whether it's making sure we don't look at our result too much and feel like we've made it, whether we don't feel entitled to anything. I think those are going to be the pieces that allow us to be successful this weekend. So it's not any one thing. It's just continuing the mantra of we haven't earned anything yet. There's still so much to play for. This club's never won anything yet. So there's no reason for anybody to feel like we're entitled to anything. And that's how we're going to approach day by day starting today.
To get Ale back in the lineup these
Yeah.
last 3 matches, how big of a boost is that for your team? I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough when you see your captain
Right.
go down.
Yeah, it's been a massive boost. It not only from the spiritual perspective of just watching your captain just work his way back onto the field. I mean, day after day, just getting better each day and giving the hope to the team. But it allows us to put guys back in their natural position. So Ali's back to left back as, I think he's the best left back in the country, to be fair. So obviously you're gonna be happy about getting a guy like that back in your lineup. But then it puts Jan back where he needs to be. It puts June back where he needs to be. So overall, it balances out the lineup, and we feel really comfortable with that. So we're so happy to have him back, and he's such a determined kid. It's no surprise that he's back, to be fair. He's just such a hard worker and knew it couldn't end this way. So we're happy to have him back, and he's obviously given us a huge lift.
You understand that it's postseason implications on the line.
Right.
You also get to send some of your guys off the right
Yeah.
way here on Sunday with Senior Day. Talk
Yeah.
about what this group has meant to you
Yeah.
and the team for the last couple of seasons.
Well, to be fair, I think that's the best question because this whole week is about honoring the seniors, not just Sunday, but making sure that we send out the seniors with a great week. It's my first opportunity since I've been head coach here to actually close out the season at home and not on the road. So we're able to really do it right this weekend. So we have a big senior weekend planned, and I think that's really the focus is making sure that we perform what's best for them. And if we do that, then it'll affect the playoffs the way we want it to. So again, we're kind of trying to separate any sort of playoff implications and focus on giving the seniors the send up they deserve. But they're an awesome group of people first before players. I mean, they're all awesome kids, all 6 of them. We have some 4-year guys in Jan and Tristan. Jan was one of my first recruits, and he's the Iron Man. He's, I think, played over 4,500 minutes for me and averaged over 15 games a season. Like, he's just a workhorse and has really helped put this club in the position that we're in right now and being competitive and being one of the better sides. It's all from the work that he was a part of. And then you have Tristan who Nelson, who was a bit of a walk-on when he first got here. He was already at Northern Michigan when I was hired for the job and worked his way into the team and has given 100% every practice, every day, loves those guys, true consummate teammate. So you got those guys, then you got some transfers in there as well. Ale's a 3-year player, but obviously he's our captain. So there's a lot of guys to honor, and we look forward to doing that. So they've meant a lot to me, but more importantly, I think their contributions to the program as from a cultural standpoint, have been immense. It's not just what's done in the 16 games in the fall. Like that's a small portion of the impact and the commitment that those guys have demonstrated to the program. It's the whole year, and it's the multiple years and all the difficult moments that you go through when you're trying to build a program into something. And so their contributions to the program are invaluable, innumerable. They're just amazing, and it's more than, like I said, it's more than just the games that they provide.
You mentioned it's not just 16 games; it's the whole year.
Yeah.
Well, what have you seen out of a star guy like Luka Rosen? He has just been, I think, the talk of this team, and he has just personally has been really, really fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's almost like any time you get him on a breakaway or a penalty kick,
He's got the ability to
it's a
score.
guarantee.
Right. Look, we knew Luka was a fantastic player. That's why we went after him. That's why everybody went after him. And what's crazy about Luka is that you guys are excited to watch him play, and so are we. But we know that he can still be a lot better. Like he's still got levels to go, and he's still adapting to our environment. So I think that's pretty scary for our opposition. So we're just trying to challenge him to continue to get better because we know he's still got levels to go. But yeah, if he can knock in 2 goals a game and Ossoff can do his job, then you're in every playoff game, right? Like I said, he can score at any moment. So he's got that talent. We're just trying to continue to push him. What he gave on Sunday, in the score sheet, you guys saw 2 goals. What we saw with the GPS data was 100 sprints, tied with Quint, who's always in that category. We saw the distance being higher. We saw his high-speed distance being higher. So he just put in an all-out shift on the weekend and deserved those goals. And they didn't come off great sequences of play from us. They came off him stripping somebody and doing the job. So that's hard work. It's more than just, waiting for the ball at his feet and doing something fun. So if he can continue to layer on this gritty, hard work, Gliak-style play, combined with his ability to score, then he's just going to be unstoppable. And that's what we're trying to push him towards.
Roosevelt on Friday.
Yep.
Purdue Northwest.
Yep.
A little bit later. We were talking, I would argue that Purdue Northwest is more of a trap game because they're on the...
Of course it is.
You've been in that position before in the postseason.
Yeah.
What do you have to do through the whole weekend?
Yeah, I think it's what we started with at the beginning, right? Don't be entitled to anything. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't be complacent. Be humble. Don't be affected by success or failure, and stay disciplined. Right? Go through our recovery the right way, train the right way, be prepared the right way. I think that'll give them an opportunity to have success in both games. One team is playing to win a championship and on Friday, and that's Roosevelt. So they're coming up here to try to win the regular season title. So they're up for it. And on the other side, Purdue may be playing to get into the playoffs on Sunday. So they're going to be up for it. So it really doesn't matter who we play this weekend. They're coming up here needing 3 points. So we have to understand that. But again, at this point, it's no longer about the opposition. We are our own opposition, and if we go through the process the right way, which we did last week in response to a really awful weekend, then they'll have success, and they know that, I think, now.
Kind of a tough weekend in the pool, but I mean, up against some really good competition.
Yeah.
What were some of your big takeaways from?
Well, I would say I think we had a great weekend. We had 3 meets and we won 2 out of 3. And we did lose against Grand Valley, but their men are the 4th in the country, so, and we went in there and I think performed really well. Kalina won both boards against them. We won, women won relay against them. And we had some good stuff. We actually had a girl that went her personal best time, which, you're not expecting necessarily. And one of our freshmen broke one of their pool records. So to go in and, we still had some pretty good performances. So I was pretty excited about that. And then the Saginaw Valley and Findlay meet, we just had great competition all around. And I'm really glad to have won those by the skin of our teeth on a couple of them, being Saginaw gets better and better every year. So they have a really nice pool, and we always enjoy going down there and swimming well. Yeah.
What was the feeling amongst the team after something like that? Going up and coming up short against such a good program in GV.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, having some record-setting performances and just kind of having winning 2 out of 3 meets. What was the feeling following the meet?
I think the biggest thing that they take away is the wonderful thing about swimming is that when you have individual events and people are watching and somebody has a great race, then it's kind of inspiring for the next person. And no one's hanging their head for sure. We are, a little beat up. It is in the heart of training season, and we're getting ready for another good training block and leading into the Calvin Invite, which we'll rest for, and we'll see Grand Valley again down there. But it definitely, there was no hanging their heads. They're pretty excited for, the people that performed really well, which we definitely had some good performances. So
At this point in the season, to
Yeah.
see those performances, how
Yeah.
big of a boost of that is for you and the team to say, this is where we are right now.
Yeah.
I can't imagine where we're going to be when, Shyiak championship.
Well, and I will say it's even funny because I think the women walked out of that Grand Valley meet kind of excited because I think they thought they were going to maybe get beat worse than they did. So they're like, hey, we have a couple people that, maybe didn't swim some events we're going to get better. We always get better as the season goes. And I think it kind of gave them a little fire, like, we're going to be even better. So they're pretty excited about it. We have Wayne State at here in a couple weeks. So we're looking forward to that. They're always fun to have at our home pool for sure.
What kind of changes now? You kind of have had to
Yeah.
tough road trips, and now you
Yeah.
kind of stay at home, and that routine of being at home here at your home pool
Yeah.
changes versus being on the road.
Yeah, well, I will say, I think that also they were giving themselves a little grace against Grand Valley because that is hard. We drive down, we race hard that night. It was a long meet Saturday. We got dinner at 9 p.m. and got back to the hotel at 10. And then we have to get up, early. We have breakfast. We're on the road by 8:30 and drive 2.5 hours to Grand Valley. So then you're getting off the bus, then you're eating lunch, and then you try to think about competing, So there's and every athlete thinks about this, or has to deal with that part of travel. But so for them to do, a lot of them, so a couple of them had, some really good times, right off the bus and after a big meet, they're all sore and tired. We had a pretty big recovery day yesterday, but now we're back at it. But I think it gets them excited about what's coming up for sure. Yeah.
Is there a formula to, sometimes you have athletes that do multiple events or multiple
Yeah.
races. Is there a formula to kind of when you have a long weekend of, hey, you're going to do this event and this event, but not this one, but you're also going to do this one? Is there a formula or?
Well, I would like to say yes, but sometimes we had some injuries and some illnesses. So sometimes, poor Tim and Zach, two of our distance guys, they had to do the 1,000 each day. I'm like, I don't have anybody else, so you guys need to step up and just do it. And they did, with a smile on their face, kind of. But yeah, but they sometimes. On the women's side, I had a little bit more availability to maybe not have someone do one event and do something else. And there was a couple different events lineup. There were 2 different kind of lineups on that day. So that was nice over the weekend to kind of get some different things. So just kind of depending who you are, you got a little bit of variety. And some people, depending on our lineup, didn't have it. So, but they took it for the team and swam for the team anyway. So
Would you say that's the attitude of anybody on the team if you're
Yeah.
called upon that at the drop of a hat, even if they're they're tired, they're sore, they're beat up, like you said, especially maybe on the road.
Yeah.
If they're called upon, it's at the drop of a hat.
Yes, and they all are very much aware of anything can happen. We even, in the middle of the meet had to pull somebody and be like, okay, now I'm flipping relays at the end. And someone who maybe wasn't in a relay said, okay, now you're in the relay. And they all know that that's the deal. Like, we call it, getting ready for sudden change. They have to be ready for things to happen because things do happen, So, yeah, next person up. They are very much on board with that.
You touched on it a little bit, Coach, but
Yeah.
a little bit of time off before Wayne State
Yeah.
gets to your place. What becomes the concentration over these next 5-7 days before?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing like yesterday was to swim out the travel, right? Like sitting on the bus and lots of competing and just flushing out your system. And now we're getting ready to start like another training block because ultimately, the vision down the road is the Calvin Invite. That's like the meet where we rest and swim fast, and historically have made some NCAA cuts. Like that's a really good test. So Wayne, I'm excited to have Wayne State here, but they are in the same boat that we are. They're going to be training hard, and there's no resting for either of us. It's all of us getting up and doing the best we can. So.
Alrighty, Coach. Well, NCAA is coming up quick here. It's November, or almost November, it feels like. What are you guys kind of preparing for heading into that week?
Yeah, well, we have the regionals coming up in 2 weeks. Yeah, well, we had a great performance at conference, and so now just kind of making sure we're still keep training well, recovering from the race. Still got a few weeks to kind of sharpen up and see if we can keep moving up from where we're at, staying where we're at and moving up from where we're at. So.
How tough is this GLIAC conference with the teams that are in it, and you guys continue to improve every single year and put your name in the conversation for one of the best teams in it?
Yeah, I mean, Grand Valley's ranked number 1 in the country, so it's kind of hard when you have the conference, the top team in the country in your conference. But we do keep closing the gap, and now we finished ahead of the other teams, which is great. We moved up from, last year we were a little ways down, and early in the season they ranked us 6th in the conference, and we ended up 2nd. So, really proud of the team how they kind of handled it and handled the pressure, because we knew we had a good shot to finish 2nd, and they went out and just executed and did a great job at the race. So super exciting, and we're closing the gap with on Grand Valley, and hope to close it even more once we get to the regional championships.
What do you know about the course at the regional championship? Kind of the gives and takes, if you will, of a course like that.
Yeah, well, we ran a race earlier this year at UW Parkside, and that's where the national championships will be too. So we ran it last year. So we already had a chance to race at it. We raced well at it. There was a big early season pre-nationals that we beat a lot of teams from across the country. So so we knew what we did there, what we could do better. So I think we're really prepared for that course. It's a great course, and the team really likes it. And so we're adjusting a little bit to how we raced it last time to even move up farther. So yeah, it's a specific cross country course, which there's only a few in the entire country. So it's kind of great. It's grass in the beginning, and then it kind of goes through the woods. It's a wide path that winds around and rolling, and then the finish is kind of rolling and then flat at the end. So exciting for sure.